The drop and bag of the town of Troy at the hands of an punishing Hellenic troop is one how has been said for several 3,000 year, but concluded during it are clues to a lot broad world crash, in training session for our own 21st age. In 1300 BC, at the altitude of the Bronzed Year, the large powers of Egypt, the Hittite in center Turkey, the Greeks, Babylonians and Medium East town state would include seemed safe to any trader shipping about the Mediterranean. No more than so rather than the walled town of Troy, on Turkey's polar western shore at the jaw of the Dardanelles. Sea vessels were frequently constrained to expect in its harbors for appropriate wines to sailing in the Sea of Marble and Dark Ocean, so it was perfect located to increase wealthy by taxation the trading. Yet fair above 100 year after, by on 1170 BC, nearly all these civilizations had compressed. In the Black Age how accompanied though the art of written was loose. In Hellenic myth, the story of the drop of Troy was encapsulated in two epics, the Iliad and the Odyssey, historically ascribed to the lyricist Pigeon, and set downward in written on 400 year after. The Bronze Age was typified by castle-based state all cooperating and partly dependent on every some, that has similar elements in our own age in its interrelated economies and finance markets, fair in time manufacture processes and world delivery chains. The key product of the age was bronzed, out of that no nation could furnish an troop. The brass came of Cyprus but the tin had to go for 000 kilometer of Afghanistan, transportable by land to Syria and later in sea vessels on the shore. It was as urgent as oil is currently. In the 21st age, we are yet sensitive to interruptions to world trading. In 2012, world oil prices climbed following Iran endangered to shut the Straits of Hormuz, via that on 20% of world oil supplies undergo. Iran told the would reason a upheaval to markets how no nation could supervise. A severe pause at one or more than of these choke points could presumably conduct to delivery shortfalls and cost spikes, in system ensuing consequences how could achieve for meal marketplace, it added. But the Bronze Age state were later hit by repeated events. Not fair supported droughts and hunger, but as well multiple volcano eruptions, earthquakes, civilian strife, massive asylum seeker migrations, trading disruptions and warfare. If just one item happens you can pull through. The distinction in the deceased Bronze Age is you get the ultimate tempest. In a couple, 3 or 4 persons events theory looking at multiplier effects, you can pull through, says Professor Klein. By 1250 BC problems were accumulating. One Hittite Tsarina appealed to Egypt for assist, proverb I include no corn in my earth. A Syriac trader alerted how down there is hunger in our building, if you do not rapidly come there we will all die of famine. To assist ease the position the Egyptians begun meal shipments to their neighbors. And though in the Bronzed Year, governments were acute to contribute their world aid programs. One Cop boasted he inflicted corn to be undertaken in sea vessels to hold live the earth of Hatti, same Hittite. In spite the World Company operation it was not quite. If such who lived about the palaces rotated on their rulers since they were not receive fed or had lose their jobs is not clear. But as cereal and economies unsuccessful, it caused civilian wars and the massive migrating of refugees. In Pigeon, it is the case among Troy's Duke Paris and Hellenic Tsarina Helen how triggers the fabulous warfare. The two sides surely clashed above Troy, that was a Luwian town, occasionally union to the Hittite. At one spot Troy's king household was overthrown, and down there is as well a Hittite email to a Hellenic Tsar on a world transactions above Troy. No of the proves Pigeon's precision, but Troy was obviously a location how could accumulate large riches so it was ever departure to draw human beings who might wish to bag he, says J. Leslie Fitton. Troy was surely dismissed about 1200 BC although down there is anything of it or Greece. Hellenic accounting records are slight more than rather than administration inclusive, to barn lighting on which happened. But in Syria we do include the sounding of the victims of the broad disaster. The governor of Ugarit, incorrect footed by quick moving events, requested for assist proverb, all my military and chariots are in the earth of Hatti and all my sea vessels are in the earth of Lucca. Therefore, the nation is neglected to himself. His circulation seems to include fall on blind ears, maybe his neighbors were as well difficult pressed. If any assist did come it came to deceased, on to one of the recent tablets of the fated town. While yours courier arriving, the troop was offended and the town was dismissed. Our meal in the thrashing floors was burned and the vineyards were as well ruined. Ours town is dismissed. May you aware it. May you aware he. Such who kept perhaps ended creature sold out as slaves, or united the increasing quantity of refugees and illegal freebooters as societies ruined downward. For their portion, the Egyptians had a easy reply to which inflicted all the Bronze Age state to crash. It was all the error of various groups of about the Mediterranean groups they named same sea folk. Same overseas countries done a plot in their islands. All at one day the lands were remote and dispersed in the brawl. No earth could stay up their weapon, says one Egyptian caption. Egypt seems to include period to protect himself and its troop hit off the sea folk, says Professor Klein, in Cop Ramses III declaring I overthrew such who invaded of their lands, they were done as such how already exist no. Andrew Shapland warning how we requirement to be cautious how we recite such a by the government statements. Ramses is fair take these migrants and sames manufacturing them the aggressors which if he is making which any lawing political figure present is making, and conclusion an external set of human beings and accusing them for the economical turmoil. If the Greeks very did defeat the Trojan, their win was brief-lived. Largest Hellenic palaces were as well quickly ruined or neglected, the Hittite, Syriac town-state Assyrians and Babylonians as well compressed. Just Egypt kept. In comparison with Bronze Age rulers who could just pray to their tempest god for rainfall if the cereal unsuccessful, we are far more than aware of world problems and include far more than engineering asset to transactions in them, says Professor Klein. But Pigeons is a instructive story, he argues. Each civilization in the planet has eventually compressed. It would be really arrogant to believe we will be the just civilization to pull through.